Hi, my name is Deb Belquist, and I was born and raised in New Rockford. After my husband finished dental school, we came back in 1979 to the place we both called home. We chose to raise our family here not because it was the easy choice, but because it was the right choice. I grew up in a house where business and community were dinner table conversations. My dad was a city auditor, and he often spoke about how hard it was to bring new business into town. It wasn't the opportunity wasn't there. It was that too often we shut the door on that opportunity. And now we're at that door again. As a former economic development for New Rockford, the first one, worked on the Bison Plant project and wrote the feasibility study for that, I know how hard it is. This is really hard to bring in new business into a community, big business, business that really makes an impact. This wind farm project in Eddy and Wells County is the most significant economic development opportunity to come our way since the railroad arrived through the Surrey cutoff. That project changed everything for our region. This one can too if we let it. Now I understand the opposition, I really do. It's natural to feel protective of what we know. I watched that happen in Carrington with the band Bidoffs when they tried to build Carlson Creamery. People said they didn't want it there. They said it would smell. They said the roads would be ruined. They said it would ruin the view. Today that dairy is the crown jewel of Carrington and North Dakota. It's not just a business, it's a beacon. Jobs, pride, growth. It all came because a few people had a vision. They stood strong in the face of resistance. This wind farm isn't being forced on us. It was born right here by our neighbors. 18 years ago, our local economic development team began to lay the groundwork. There's been 16 years of wind studies, 16 years of environmental reviews, meetings with landowners, licensing, contracts. That's not just commitment, that's stewardship. They didn't cut corners. They are following every state guideline. The energy is sold, the path is clear, and now it's up to us to decide whether we embrace the future or fear it. I want to share a quick story. We live on 2nd Avenue North, right across the street of what used to be the Black Hawk. We had a beautiful, clear view to the city park, the swimming pool. And then someone built a house that partially blocked that view. And they asked my husband, Bob, are you upset about losing your view? And you know what he said? He said, I like the view of progress better. And he truly meant that. And Todd and Carrie are great neighbors. That's the spirit we need now, because this project will bring more than towers and turbines. It will bring a stronger tax base. It will bring a community fund to support our schools, our roads, and the next generation of families that will call this place home. Opportunities, and let me tell you, I know this from experience, don't come along often, and they don't wait forever. We are not just talking about a project. We are talking about the kind of future we believe our children and grandchildren deserve. Let's not squander what took nearly 2 decades to build. Let's honor the hard work and the due diligence and the collaboration between landowners and developers. And above all, let's keep our eyes fixed on the horizon. Because I, for one, still believe in the view of progress. Thank you.
I'm a lifelong resident of New Rockford and a proud mother of 3 young children. future generations who I hope will also call this community home. My passion for economic development began in 2008 when I worked as a summer intern for the NRABC, the same year this wind project was first introduced. Today I serve as a board member for NRABC and have seen firsthand how vital it is to invest in opportunities that ensure the long-term success of small, rural communities like ours. I fully support the wind project because of the significant and lasting economic benefits it will bring, not only for my children, but for the future of New Rockford as a whole, and Eddy County, Cheyenne, all the communities involved. To move forward, it's critical that we continue to follow the established state guidelines on turbine setbacks. These standards are in place for a reason, and they allow us to responsibly pursue growth that will strengthen our local economy for generations to come. Thank you.
My name is Demi Cook, and I reside just outside of Cheyenne on my grandma and grandpa Nelson's homestead with my fiance Oliver and my 3 beautiful kids, Cecilia, Carmelo, and Cora. While my family is originally from Cheyenne, I did not grow up here. I did not attend school here, but I eventually decided to move to Cheyenne to enjoy a quiet life out in the country on my family's farm that has a beautiful view overlooking the Cheyenne River Valley. When Oliver and I started a family, we knew we wanted to raise our kids right here. We enjoy everything about our quiet life in the country with its beautiful views and wide open spaces. After the Flickertail wind project was announced, I learned of the current setbacks and how close they can put these giant machines next to our home. I am concerned with the county setback for commercial wind turbines and ask you to please consider increasing it to 1 mile or greater for them. I am concerned about the noise, the flicker, the infrasound, and other nuisances that come along with them, and how it will affect my family, especially my kids as they grow up with life on our farm. I am concerned that these massive machines would be so close to my family's home. What happens if a tower is built too close to our home and one of my kids has a sensitivity to the noise, or electromagnetic frequency, or flicker effect? What will you do? What's anyone going to do? I can tell you right now that the tower won't be shut down and it's not going to be dismantled. The current county minimum is not enough. The state minimum for the setbacks is also not enough. The state's minimum setback is outdated and not meant for wind turbines as large as the ones currently being proposed in our county, which are some of the largest in the country. What about our friends and neighbors? What if they have a sensitivity to the noise? Who will they call? There's a lot of other reasons someone might be opposed to smaller setbacks, like veterans with PTSD living near the turbines, someone with health conditions like vertigo, residents not wanting to hear the noise from these giant machines or see the shadows from the flicker they create, or even due to other harm to wildlife, like our sacred bald eagles. I've sure heard a lot about community betterment, and that can sound great, but what about our community? There are people who will leave this community if a minimum setback distance is passed. There are people in this community that would be choosing to sell their home and move away because they are that concerned. We have empty homes and empty churches now. What sense does it make to have more vacancies? What will community gatherings look like in 10 years if this project goes through and there are decent setbacks that allow us to feel safe in our own home? I am against pushing something like the proposed wind farm on others. So I decided to stand up and say something here today, even if it makes me and you feel uncomfortable. I just can't imagine my grandpa Nelson would have wanted this. It's hard to imagine my kids growing up in this beautiful home in this land and someday looking across the river valley and seeing these things. If I could say just one more thing to all of us here today, we are a small community and we are all neighbors. And the way that we treat each other in times of disagreement, in trying times, that's the true reflection of our character. There are a lot of little eyes that are on us, and these little eyes are the ones that see our true colors and how we carry them. These same little eyes are our future. Not these wind turbines, not the temporary handouts that you might get. None of these things we can take with us when it's our time to leave this world. But these little eyes and these kids, this is our legacy. And this is what we leave behind, the future. Let's do better for them.
Good evening, Board. Pleased to be here. Folks, I'm Calvin John Packard. Everybody's been given their bona fides. Most of you know mine. I'll stick to one. Military vet. I swore an oath that has no expiration date. I do want you to meet the state standards, but I want you to exceed. One thing that I would like is some reference to bird depredation. We are a state that values hunting, the outdoors. We have flyways with geese, ducks. We also have 7 bald eagles nesting in the 3 counties that are discussed. That's on the Game and Fish website. What I would like you to do is put in a sentence, a paragraph, discussing about bird depredation, meaning bird killing, to prevent. In the Air Force, as a wing safety officer, one of the hazards we had were barn swallows nesting in the hangars at Minot Air Force Base and at New Jersey, McGuire Air Force Base. A cheap fix was a $7 plastic owl. Drill a hole in the ears, put some fish line, a hook, and put it up in the doorway. We had no more barn swallows. What I'm getting at is put the onus on the wind people, in this case, the wind farm. I forgot your guys' name, but you know whom I'm talking to. Maybe a stick with a crow, because crows are actually a natural enemy to eagles. Eagles steer clear of them. They don't avoid a fight, but they don't go looking for a fight. So if you have a plastic crow glued to a stick on the butt end of your wind turbine, it may decrease the bird depredation. Crows are also a natural enemy of geese and of ducks. So you might get a 3-for. I always present a fix to a problem that I bring forth, and that's my fix. I do ask you to look into it and at least contemplate. You guys have made your decision. I know how boards work. I've been on boards. But I would like you to contemplate that. Pretty please. Thank you for your time. Who was it? I don't think they heard.
No, you're from Bismarck?
Even though where I'm from. I'm Charles Tellum. I'm from Bismarck. Obviously, you heard my position on the fact that really there's no choice here today. You have to follow state law if you're not a home rule charter. I'm listening to all of this, though, and when I hear economic development, especially from the government types, it scares the gajibis out of me. It's our tax dollars, folks. David Crockett said he learned a lesson. He went and voted for a woman's, an admiral's retirement. And a constituent came up and said, I'm never going to vote for you ever again. And he's like, why? I've been helping this woman out. It ain't your money. I have no problem with property rights. You want to build a windmill on your property, but you don't use my tax dollars to do it. Especially when it's a hoax. We know the lifespan of a windmill is 10 years. In Europe, they're going by the wayside. Why are they pushing this? Because it's your tax dollars. It's the same thing with the CO2. They're going to grab up tax dollars. We're only drilling 33 wells, 33 rigs out in the Bakken. And we used to have 187 rigs. Where's this drill, baby, drill? They're slowing it down. They've done it intentionally. What's it doing to our coal? It's hurting our coal. It's going to destroy North Dakota, folks. You think if it's greed, because it's my land, I'm going to make money off of it? And I hear the school argument. Folks, read your Constitution. It says right in there, the Legislative Assembly shall provide for a uniform system of free public schools throughout the state. Who's to provide for that? The Legislative Assembly. Go to Article 10, Public Finance and Debt. The Legislative Assembly shall be prohibited from defraying those expenses of the state through the levying of assessed value of real or personal property. Jeez, is it unconstitutional to use property tax to fund schools? You betcha. And we're still, I saw 3 school issues. I got calls from everybody, Williston, Valley City. They're spending money. Property tax value in Valley City is going on a $200,000 home's going up $700. We got to stop this insanity. Folks, we spent $25,000 for every man, woman, and child in North Dakota in this last legislative session. $25,000 for every man, woman, and child. Take that, put it in your pocket, and what would you do with it? I paid 43 cents for 2 cans of water when I came here today. We are the richest state. $20 billion we spent, and we got nothing to show for it. Every oil-producing country in the world has under $1 a gallon gas. Why don't we? You know what that would do to our economy? Why did we have the government types, all the economic development people, come out? Look, the Association of Counties, League of Cities, we pay our tax dollars to these organizations, and they go out and lobby against Measure 4 abolishment of property tax. And I'm telling every county, every city, that you need to ask for that money refunded for 2023 and 2024, because that's a violation of 16.1 corrupt practices. They're using our tax dollars against us to keep taxes higher, folks. We've all got to wake up. If you want windmills, you want this wind project and no subsidy, I have an initiative. It's going to be coming out. That's what I do. I'm the guy that put term limits on the ballot. I put Measure 4 on the ballot. I gave all the volunteer firemen and EMTs red license plates. That's what I do. And we will have an initiative that says any energy that is subsidized with tax dollars will be prohibited in North Dakota. Any CO2 buried into our soil will be prohibited in North Dakota. And it will be in the Constitution when we get done with it. We have got to stop this hoax of everybody thinking that it's going to pay for our schools, it's going to pay for this, it's going to pay for that. It's our money. It's taxpayer money. Every dollar that goes in your pocket, if that $25,000 was put in your pocket, it would be spent 7 times, according to the Chamber of Commerce. That's economic development, folks. Not government programs. Health and Human Services is a $7 billion program. Right now, Gateway Pundit said that the bank in North Dakota is missing $4.5 billion because all of a sudden all these people are giving loans to each other's friends and that. And the only people that oversee the Bank of North Dakota is the Industrial Commission. We're looking into these things. But we had 37 oil companies that were audited by the School Land Trust that were stealing money, taking deductions that they weren't allowed to take, hundreds of millions of dollars. We had to go all the way to the Supreme Court to make them have to pay that money back. And what happened? The legislature went in and they actually passed a bill giving them half of the money back. Thank you.
So I would just like to start by telling you that I think I signed the sheet that said state or further. I'm not really in support of the state. I would like to see it back a mile, and I'll tell you why. Protecting health and safety and peace of mind. A mile setback prioritizes public health and safety, especially with growing concerns over low-frequency noise, shadow flickers, and potential ice thrown from turbines. Setbacks ensure residents can enjoy their property without constant noise, vibration, or visual intrusion. Respecting property rights and local control. The proposal allows flexibility. Residents can agree to a shorter setback if they choose. It's about consent, not blanket restriction. County zoning exists to protect all landowners, not just developers and leaseholders. Preserving quality of life. Eddy County's identity is rural, quiet, and community-driven. A 1 mile setback keeps industrial-scale projects from encroaching on this way of life. It protects scenic views, natural habitats, and local heritage values. Learning from other communities, many counties across the Midwest have adopted similar or even greater setbacks after seeing the disruption wind projects cause in under-arid regions. We have a chance to learn from their experiences and plan responsibly. Avoid division and gag order. Good zoning prevents future community conflict between neighbors, especially with good neighbor payment or non-disclosure agreements that silence landowners. Transparent setbacks ensure fairness and accountability in how wind projects are developed. Balanced growth. This setback does not ban wind energy. I'm not against it. It sets responsibility limits so energy development and rural living can coexist. It shows we welcome renewable energy, but not at the expense of residents' rights and well-being. Why 1 mile, you might ask? It's a measurable, reasonable, and proven distance that gives residents a buffer without eliminating large tracts of land from development. Setbacks like 1,000 or 1,500 feet have been shown to be inadequate for noise, health protections, especially at night. Community-led, not corporate-led. This proposal is brought to you by quite a few of the citizens here, not outside companies. It reflects the voices of people who live, vote, and raise their families here. The zoning board has a duty to listen to and represent residents, not outside business interests. You hear about schools helping, or helping the schools. Not always, and here's why. Wind farms increase local tax revenue, but in many states, including North Dakota, that triggers a reduction in state education aid. The school's funding formula adjusts to ensure districts don't receive too much by cutting the state's contribution when local taxes rise. So while wind projects may bring in more taxes, school budgets may not grow since the states give them less. So bottom line is wind farms don't guarantee more money for public schools. Something for you guys to research. Property taxes. The larger the tax base can cause property taxes to rise for everyone if levy rates aren't reduced. Those without turbines still face impacts. Visual and noise pollution, construction traffic, possible reduced land value. And last night I was looking through Facebook and seeing that the Rockford Area Better Corporation had a posting on talking about all of the funds that they're going to bring in. While the financial promises made by Flickertail Wind may sound appealing on the surface, they should not be used to pressure our community into accepting reduced protection. A 1/4 mile setback places industrial turbines dangerously close to home, posing potential long-term risks to health, safety, property values, and quality of life. Community payments are often used as a distraction and carried on a stick to gain compliance with the real costs that are borne by residents living in the shadow of these machines. This isn't about opposing progress, it's about responsible planning. A 1 mile setback is a reasonable safeguard supported by other communities in the Midwest. We shouldn't compromise our long-term well-being for short-term incentives that may never truly make up for what's lost. The integrity of our rural landscape and the voice of all citizens should not be for sale. I have more, but I'll
So just so everybody knows, my name is David White. I'm actually a New Rockford Township supervisor. I'm also on the zoning board. And the issue I'm on the zoning board is last year, almost a year ago in July, I turned around and I approached the zoning commission, you guys, everyone's here, I believe. But I was worried about this whole issue of what we're talking about today. You know, you look at the minutes right here, about the issue, it says right here, David Fike addressed the zoning commission with concerns on setbacks in the zoning ordinance not being as strict as North Coast Century Code. Other concerns included flicker noise, well, they said flickers and noise. This whole thing, so I wanted to discuss that a year ago. And actually, I think it was the gentleman who said, well, that was in my opinion. I was in here today. So turn around, I don't think people quite realize the size of these towers. These things are 700 foot tall. The elevator outside of town is 140 foot. So these things are going to turn around. You can stack 5 of those elevators on top of each other before you get to the 700 foot. You can stack 2 elevators and put them side by side, and that's each blade. So you can have 6 of those on the blade. And they want to turn around and put these things 3 times the height. So a total of 3 times the height is 2 times 2,100 feet behind your house. I mean, that's gigantic, 700 foot tall, 2,100 feet behind your house. So you turn around and you want to talk about noise. You know, I listen to all this stuff up here, and this is all about, all I heard is about money. Everyone's about money. But we could have the greatest, this is the zoning committee, we could have the greatest zoning ordinance out there. There's so many examples. Stark County, everywhere else they have these. Stark County actually has a 2-mile setback from a non-resident. And they have, what, 2, 3 wind farms there. They work with their people. And I keep hearing out here that everybody's trying to shut this down. No, we're not. We want to get it right. We want to turn around and make sure we have a zoning ordinance that works for everybody. Not about something popular. This is about everybody's safety. It's about your resale values of your house, not property values, resale values of residents. Tim Ross over in Wells County pointed out that once they announce a wind farm, if you're within a mile of that footprint, you will lose 10 to 14% of your value of your residence. That's a lot of money for me as a landowner that got included in this footprint that I never heard about. That would be $40,000 that come out of my pocket right now. But they say in 10, 15 years I'll make that back. But in the meantime, everyone that owns towers, look where they're going to be. They're going to be Florida, everywhere else. Most of them don't live here. You know, just a little side note here. 35% of the people that are getting towers do not live in the footprint. 35%. I mean, 65% of the people are either non-resident or they live in town. So they're not going to be hearing this noise over and over. You know, we're told that on our land, they're talking about property rights. But I went home because I went to that meeting last night, and I was surprised to find out that for little landowners, you have no property rights. So zoning board, this is what zoning boards are supposed to do. Make sure everybody's protected fairly. Nor does it say that you turn around and you have a little, you just have 10, 12 acres, that you have no rights. Where does it say that? I just went home with the U.S. Constitution. It does not say that. But yeah, we listened to that lawyer last night tell us that exactly you have no rights. This is what our zoning board is about. You know, and you want to talk about the PSC. So the PSC, you want to turn around. So we're going to have to turn around according to this whole thing. That if you have noise complaints, if we don't have zoning here, if we don't have good zoning, we're going to have to call the PSC down here, put in a complaint, and wait for them to show up and tell us that, oh, we can fix this. How often are we going to show up? Does the PSC even care about people? Yeah, I'm just confused. You know, this is all supposed to be about zoning tonight, and all I heard was about people's pocket. And we need to get back to zoning. That's the most important thing. Protect everybody. Better on my time for the Thank you guys very much.
I'm a retired first sergeant, so I can yell like hell, but I'm going to use the microphone instead. Zoning Board, I'd like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to exercise my First Amendment rights. County Commissioners, thank you for listening. You guys are going to be seeing the backside of me. I'm talking to these people here because these are the people that actually are going to be impacted by this. Show of hands, who here has read the United States Constitution within their